This is the Ted Wallison Podcast. Brought to you by Halenda's, the meat people. Enjoy their award-winning products at selected Metro, Sobeys, Fortino's, and Foodland locations. Halenda's, the way sausage should taste. And Tom's Place. For the finest in men's clothing at unbeatable prices, it's Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. And now, here's Ted Wallison.
More and more patients in Ontario today are relying on walk-in clinics for a couple of reasons. A shortage of family physicians coupled with long wait times in some hospital emergency rooms. Medimap is a Canadian technology company helping frustrated patients find the care they need in a timely fashion by publishing clinic wait times online. Joining me is the Vice President of Operations for Medimap, Teddy Wickland. Well, welcome to the program. Tell me about the beginning of Medimap. How did it all come about?
Yeah, for sure. So medimap.ca is a website where patients can go to find local clinics in their area. We started about 5 years ago, originally just hyper-focused on the walk-in clinic space, wanted to build a free resource for patients where they could see the closest clinics to them and what the wait times were. We now, 5 years later, work with about 70% of the clinics in Canada and have actually expanded to new types of care. We were actually hearing from patients and from our clinic partners that they either, one, needed help navigating the referral process after visiting a walk-in clinic that they found on Medimap, or two, needed help finding care that was better delivered by a different type of practitioner. So now on medimap.ca, patients can find, in addition to walk-in clinics, a whole range of other service types from physios, chiros, mental health care professionals, even dentists. And we're adding new types of care every day. And it really started just from personal experience. Our founder, Blake Adam, saw firsthand, trying to access care himself, how difficult it was to know where to go, what time to go, that sort of thing. And so he set out to build the original version of Medimap, which would help patients find walk-in clinics, and then it's now expanded into this broader sort of one-stop shop for sort of all of your health needs.
Yeah, I figured that there was probably a personal connection there. Either somebody had run into problems in dealing with the healthcare system, or someone from within the healthcare system. Because it's interesting for many people, if they've been fortunate not to have to go to an emergency clinic or an ER at a hospital or to a walk-in clinic, there's so many people in this country who are still believe that our medical services are available at the snap of a finger, and it's just the best healthcare system in the world. And not to get into a political argument over this, but it is not by a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have tried to access healthcare services in, say, the last couple of years, very few people are going to say, wow, what an incredible experience. I'm so glad that I went through that, right? And I think that's largely because healthcare has sort of not kept up with other industries in terms of how they've innovated, how they've focused on consumer experience, how they've focused on new technologies. So healthcare happens to be a very services-oriented business. That's, people to people. But technology can help make the experience, one, accessing it, but then two, understanding what's happening to you, the educational component of healthcare can make it a lot, more seamless, a much better experience for patients. And I think we've just lagged behind there.
Well, what is the average wait time in an Ontario hospital in an emergency care unit?
Yeah, on the hospital side, you're talking, an hour plus. On the walk-in clinic side, you're talking in Ontario, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Still, a significant wait, but it really varies market to market. And when I say market, I'm talking like micro markets, down to the postal code. So in one postal code, you might have a bunch of walk-in clinics, zero wait time, great experience. And, a mile, east, you might have an hour wait, 2 hours waits. So it's highly variable.
But if you walk into an ER, there's no way that you're in and out of there in an hour. It's more like 15 hours.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of being seen, much longer. When I said an hour, I'm talking about like best case scenario when you first get seen by a doctor. But obviously the experience itself is going to be much, much longer than that.
Because I believe I read just several months ago that in Ontario, the average wait time by the time you walk into an ER and are either and then are admitted and given a bed is something like 20 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's not just just transparently, it's not just an Ontario issue. It's sort of a Canada issue.
Right.
Across the board, wait times are really terrible.
And what's causing those waits?
I mean, it's a lot of things. A lot of people talk about the doctor shortage, which is one component of that. Also COVID happened, and obviously a lot of people put off care. And then as things, we're not in a, I'm not going to say we're in a post-COVID world, but things have started to open up again, and people are seeking care again for the first time. That puts a heavy constraint on an already strained system. Again, lack of transparency in where to access services and how to access them. So a lot of people who could get seen in, say, a walk-in clinic or a different site end up going to the hospital because that's the only thing that they, that's how they think about healthcare. That's the only place they know to go. So it's really a wide range of things. And at MediMap, we're hoping to help alleviate some of that strain by creating more transparency and creating more access for people to stay out of the ER. But that alone, won't solve some of the systemic issues that we're facing.
Teddy Wickland is with me. He is the Vice President of Operations for MediMap, which is an online service versus an app. And I'm wondering, will you be available as an app at one point, or is it available now?
So it's a great question. Most of our usage today is mobile web. So like 80% of our users are mobile web. We do have an app, although it hasn't been a high priority for us in terms of investment just because the usage is so low. So we're going to continue to invest in the app, but for now we're mostly focused on mobile web.
Can people access information regarding how long their local ER wait will be?
Not ER waits. We focus primarily on the walk-in clinic space and then allied healthcare. We are having conversations with different entities about how do we marry that the sort of rich and historic access data that we have in the walk-in clinic space and marry that with the access data that the hospital systems have so that we can create more of a cohesive, almost like heat map where you can see in real time kind of what's happening in your market, although that's not available today.
And the reason that there's such a surge in walk-in clinic usage is, well, twofold, I suppose. Number one, the pandemic was part of it. And number two, or which may be number one, is the fact that ERs are so jam-packed that people are thinking, well, I don't want to wait 8, 10, 20 hours. I wouldn't mind sitting in a walk-in clinic for an hour and a half. How do you teach people that it's okay to go to a walk-in, that you don't have to go to an ER clinic?
Yeah, that's a big question and a really good one. When I think about some of the strain that our healthcare system is under today, I think one of the biggest areas where we can make a lot of improvement is on the education side. A lot of people don't know about walk-in clinics. They don't know that they can access healthcare in other sites of care. So I think education is a big component of that. And what we're trying to do is reach more patients through, obviously we do some digital marketing. We're focused on SEO. We're trying to be sort of ever present for patients when they're searching online for care or talking on Facebook message boards about, there's parent groups and different things where people sort of get recommendations. We want to be a part of that conversation and let people know that, hey, there's this one-stop shop where you can find, a wide range of services, what the wait time is, or when the next available appointment is, and you can do it seamlessly from your phone and see reviews and all of that. But I think education is a big component of that.
Would you agree if I said to you that some people are skeptical when it comes to going to walk-in clinics because they believe that the level of care is not as high as it is in a hospital? The doctors are somehow second class or B-level doctors? Of course they're not, but some people believe that.
Yeah, it's another good point. I think when people who maybe haven't had to access healthcare services in the past or don't work in healthcare and don't really have, again, that educational component of the different types of services, the different types of providers that exist and where you can get care, it makes sense that maybe there would be bias towards you see on TV or you read about the amazing things that happen in a hospital. So if I have a cold, why don't I go to the best doctor at a hospital hospital and treat me for my cold, and I'll be done in a heartbeat. But to your point, you can get fantastic care at a walk-in clinic that's on par with what you would get at a hospital as well, and not have to wait. So I think this goes back to the education component of just letting people know, that that type of care exists outside of the hospital.
And yet, conversely, there are people now who utilize their walk-in clinics as their family practitioners because they can't find a family doctor because there's some staggering, 1.3 million people in Ontario alone do not have a family doctor. That's staggering.
Yeah, it's alarming, and I think that also again puts strain on the system, because if you're not going to your family doctor, getting healthcare services regularly, oftentimes when people put off care, they get much sicker, they have things go undiagnosed, and then by the time they do wind up in a hospital or somewhere, their disease or their health has deteriorated to such a point that now they need pretty significant care, and that could have been avoided if they had had a family doctor, had been going to regular checkups and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Because I haven't seen my family doctor in 2 years because he's just not seeing patients. I mean, I've spoken to him on the phone on many occasions, but I have not seen him. And in some cases, some of these doctors, as they age, are not going to come back to their clinics and to their practices. And so we're going to be leaning more and more on walk-in clinics, which underscores the importance of a service such as Medimap, which is what you're all about.
Yep, that's right.
What kind of growth are you witnessing in terms of people utilizing your service?
Yeah, so we're seeing pretty significant growth, especially during COVID and then post-COVID. We actually, during COVID, when a large portion of our customer base, these walk-in clinics, weren't seeing patients in person, we actually built for them a virtual care platform that allowed them to still see patients, still operate the walk-in clinic, but this time fully remotely. Mm-hmm. So we saw pretty staggering growth during that period. And then now, again, not in a fully post-COVID world, but that things are starting to open up again. And they're seeing patients in person. We're seeing a shift back towards in-person care, and we're seeing anywhere from 300,000 to 500,000 unique patient searches on our platform for walk-in clinics every month, and that number is growing pretty staggeringly. Like I said, we have about 70% penetration on the walk-in clinic side to date, and we've recently entered the allied health space. And allied health for us, so again, that's your physio, your chiro, maybe a naturopath, dentist, that sort of thing. We're seeing, north of 1,000% growth this year in the allied health vertical. That the total N is still fairly small, but we've gone from, call it about 100 allied health clinics to now close to 1,000 allied health clinics on our platform.
Ted Woloshyn returns in a moment.
Hey, it's Ted Woloshyn for Tom's Place. Our fall merchandise is starting to arrive, but we still have massive amounts of summer clothing that needs to be cleared. Blowout sale prices on virtually everything, like Cohen suits, regularly $650, now $399 each, or 3 for $1,000. Plus beautiful sports jackets and designer dress pants, 50% off. Check out our deals throughout the store with huge savings off our already below retail prices. If you need a suit for an upcoming special event, we are Toronto's one-stop suit shop. For the finest outfit for every occasion, there is no better time to find the perfect addition to your wardrobe. Everything is on sale to make way for our fall merchandise. Tom's Place is open weekdays from 11 to 6, 10 to 5 Saturday, 12 to 5 Sunday. Visit Tom's Place, 190 Baldwin in Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you.
Now back to Ted Woloshyn.
My guest is Teddy Wickland. He's Vice President of Operations for Medimap, which is an online service available at no charge to anyone who is looking for medical assistance, although you're not aligned with the hospitals in that you don't have their information as to how busy they are. I would imagine that you've talked to people, people people who are responsible for hospitals, for the management of hospitals. They've got to be pretty happy with this service that you're providing, because that's keeping people away from ER, and they want that because, again, too many people go there who have no business going there.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, in some cases, some hospital systems have actually put the Medimap wait times in the waiting room, so patients who show up there can see, oh, I can wait at this hospital for 2-3 hours before I eventually get seen, and then maybe my care experience is a full day, or I can just go to a walk-in clinic down the street and the wait time's 15 minutes. So that's going to be, I would say, a big growth driver for us in the future, is trying to partner with more hospital systems and help patients, get steered towards, one, a lower cost, but then a more efficient site of care.
Some people labor under the misconception that when you go to a walk-in clinic, you have to pay for it. But if you've got an OHIP card, just like going into a hospital, 90% of the services you don't pay for it. Not everything is free in the healthcare system in this country. People should realize that. But what is free in a hospital is free at a clinic.
Yep, that's right. That's okay. Right. Yeah, and actually on the private healthcare and allied health space where, an OHIP card might not cover everything, one of the things we're working on is price transparency for patients, where as they search for, a physio or a dietitian or something, we show them, what the expected cost will be for a visit.
Right. Because as you say, I mean, you have to pay for dental work, you have to pay for a chiropractor, and in many cases you have to pay for like a psychologist. Yep. Is not free. Psychiatrists are, but good luck trying to find a psychiatrist nowadays. So take me through this process. I wake up one morning and I'm thinking to myself, I don't feel well. I think I'm running a fever and I've got a headache. What should I do? I should go and look up medimap.com and follow the rules. Is it a simple procedure?
Yeah, we try to make it as seamless as possible. So you can go to medimap.ca, you search, you can both search for the specific type of care you're looking for. That might be a walk-in clinic, or it might be another specialty, or you can just type in your symptoms. We try to allow patients to search in their own language for how they think about care, so you don't have to be a doctor to find a doctor. And you can say, illness, sniffles, cough, that sort of thing, and put in your location, and then it'll show you both as a directory format, but then also on the map, the closest providers to you, what the wait times are, or what the next available appointment is. And then if you click a clinic, we'll show you the directions, the phone number. If you book an appointment, we'll send you an email and a text message with directions to your appointment at the time of the appointment.
What's been a response from the medical community? For example, the ministries of health across the country. Are they positive about what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the reception has been really positive. I can't really speak to some of the government entities because those aren't conversations we're having very regularly. Although when we do talk to people, they say, this is a great technology, keep doing what you're doing. And they're certainly rooting for us. But on the clinic side, walk-in clinics love it because it frees doctors and medical staff up to do what they got into the business of doing, which is taking care of people. They don't necessarily want to be spending time on having to schedule, having to, man the phones, that sort of thing. They just want to treat patients and help people get back to feeling like themselves. And that's what Medimap helps clinics do. And then on the allied health side, in addition to doing that stuff, a lot of these allied health practices, they do operate, they exist to treat people, but they also operate a business. Sure. This is how they make their income. And what we can do is help drive more patients to them and help their business grow.
And how about the family practitioners? Do they feel that you're stealing patients from them, or did they think, I've got enough patients, I'm not worried about that?
Yeah, I would say most family practitioners, again, they got into the business of taking care of people, and their end goal is just to make sure that people are healthy and being seen. So the response from them is also the same as the walk-in clinic side, which is, thank you for helping patients get in and get seen more quickly and get seen before something more serious happens. But again, they are so busy that I think, this isn't even top of mind for them. They're not too worried what Medimap is doing.
Yeah. And are you said that this is a nationwide service now. Are you finding any differences between the western provinces and the eastern provinces? Has the reaction been the same? Do they have the same kinds of problems? Is this an international or a national issue?
Yeah, so very similar reaction across the board in Canada. But I'll say this is also a global issue. No healthcare system, whether you're in Canada, the UK, the United States, is perfect. They're all slightly different, but one common theme throughout is the patient experience is kind of bad. Whether you have a private healthcare system, a public healthcare system, it's really hard to find a doctor that can treat you and treat you soon. That just is like, regardless of where you live, that is a common occurrence. And so, Medimap is focused on Canada right now, but, I wouldn't rule out in the next couple of years, us trying to help more patients globally across the globe, because, this is a common issue that everybody faces, and we think that we can do a good job, helping patients.
Well, one of the downsides about going for treatment or assistance to a walk-in clinic is their hours are limited. In many cases, they're not open Sundays at all. In other cases, they'll say they're open till 6 o'clock. You'll get there at 5, and they say we can't take you because we've already had our fill for the day, because they're only allowed by law to take so many patients in a day.
Yeah,
which seems stupid to me.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think it's interesting that you would, actively turn people away for, just an administrative issue. The system seems, designed with a very clear fault in it. And so that's one of the frustrating things that we at Medimap see is, every morning when the walk-in clinics come online and they're updating their wait times, we're seeing the wait time go, 5 minutes, 10 minutes throughout the day, which is, you expect, but then, you get to 10 a.m. and they're already saying they're closed for the day because they've, seen all their patients. And then what are patients supposed to do from 10 a.m. till the rest of the day? Is there's no access for them. So we do our best.
Ergo was one of the problems with ER.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
forcing them to go to ER.
Exactly. And so we have a fantastic customer support team, and one of the things that they do, which is, I would say, maybe not core to their role in terms of what they were hired to do, but something that they do because our mission is really to help patients, is they then find themselves, okay, I can't find, a walk-in clinic, and this patient can't find a walk-in clinic because they're all closed right now. Let me do some other searches on here and figure out, can I send this patient who's experiencing whatever it is to another type of practitioner, and really hand-holding the patient as they navigate the healthcare system, sort of one by one, which is fantastic. But again, that could all be alleviated if these walk-in clinics could treat more patients, stay open later, be open on the weekend, that sort of thing.
Well, exactly. It's like the worst thing you want to do is to get sick at 3 o'clock in the morning, because the odds are that there's no walk-in clinic that's open, or because they either don't have the staff to be open that long, or they've already fulfilled their capacity for the day.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the other interesting things in Ontario is, they've reduced the fee schedule for virtual care. So now practitioners who, maybe if you, again, woke up at 3 a.m. in the middle of the night and were feeling terrible, you couldn't go to a walk-in clinic, you didn't want to go to the hospital, maybe you could go online and find a virtual appointment and be seen that way. Well, a lot of practitioners are not taking virtual appointments anymore because they don't, frankly, get reimbursed for it. So that's another sort of like structural issue that, we're creating all of these access challenges, mostly like it feels like by the government or by, the powers that be, instead of just simply saying, healthcare is a human right. We need to make it easier for patients to get seen.
I'm surprised. I mean, maybe there is maybe there are groups, lobbyists who are after the government to say, listen, you've got to stop with this quota system situation here because it's dangerous. Yeah,
it's, I'm not sure who or how those conversations get made, but I think common sense says, if a doctor can see patients still, why are we mandating that they stop seeing patients because they had already seen 30 in a day? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So the great thing, again, for anybody who is looking for medical assistance and wants to ignore the emergency room, which I would highly recommend unless you really need to go because the wait times are brutal, very simply go online, go to medimap.ca, and that's whether you want to see a physiotherapist, a dentist, a psychologist, or a family practitioner for that matter.
Yep, that's right. And, we love feedback. A lot of the work that we do is directly from clinics and patients who send us emails, send us phone calls. And so, my ask would be if patients are coming to medimap.ca and not finding what they're looking for, like, let us know, and we will, focus on building new features, focus on adding more supply, more capacity, so that, frankly, it's easy to access healthcare and we're not having to have these conversations anymore.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Congratulate you and your colleagues. It's so necessary nowadays, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, Teddy.
Thanks for having me.
The Ted Wallacham podcast has been brought to you by Halenda's, the meat people. Enjoy their award-winning products at selected Metro, Sobeys, Fortinos, and Foodland locations. Halenda's, the way sausage should taste. And Tom's Place. For the finest in men's clothing at unbeatable prices, it's Tom's Place at 190 Baldwin in the heart of Kensington Market. Tom's Place will suit you. The Ted Wallacham podcast is produced by Joey Roselli. Technical production by Paul Gatt. Music by Bike Thieves. I'm Becky Coles. Submit your questions and comments to ted@twmedia.ca.